talks about youth accountability, particularly now in Africa, it must be seen in the context of a number of issues. Number one, that Africa is the youngest continent on earth now. The average age, I think, is just 20. And in countries like Uganda, the average age is 16. And these young men and women who have the capacity to serve the continent. And the question that is now being asked, particularly in this era of COVID, is whether young men and women will have opportunities for employment. But I think that going forward, employment must not be the focus of our young men and women. What our focus should be is innovation and invention, and taking into account the dividends that we can derive from the fourth industrial revolution. And in saying this, I'm not naive, because I know when we talk about young Africans, we've got to ask ourselves that where are these young Africans? There are those young Africans who are in fisher communities in places such as Lake Victoria, Lake Turkana, Lake Choga, and Lake Nyasa, Lake Malawi. How do we take care of them? And when we talk about, we also are aware of those who are in the livestock communities in places like Turkana, in Kenya, in Namibia, in Botswana. So there are different target groups when we talk about young people. The other thing that we must be alive to is the reality that we have 17 sustainable development goals. And goal number 1 is reduction of poverty. Goal number 2 is dealing with hunger. Then we talk about education. We talk about the education not only of the girl child, but also of the boy child, and how we are going to ensure that young people are immunized from the problems that will afflict them if they don't participate in the economies. We also are aware that we are talking about the pillars of development under Africa Agenda 2063. So there are many issues, and I'm aware that you want me to talk about accountability. In my understanding, when we talk about accountability, we must now be talking about what is called co-generational leadership, so that young men and young women work together with people who are older. And just as the African saying goes, when mother cow is chewing cud, baby cow is watching and watching keenly so that they learn the positive things and also they unlearn the negative things. So critically, I am saying that there is need to create a new young African, a young African who is disciplined, a young African who has a young African who has vision, a young African who has passion, a young African who is sympathetic and compassionate, a young African whose life is planned, a young African who has interest in ensuring that his or her community is developed, a young African who is exposed, a young African who has regard for his or her culture, but realizing that culture is not static, culture is dynamic. A young African who asks, in the famous words of the American president, not what his country can do for him or her, or what his community can do for him or her, but what he or she can do for his country and his community, and by extension, his or her continent. That is the young African whom we must grow. And that young African will ultimately be accountable not only to himself or herself, but to the community and to the world. That is all I wish to say.
Okay, so thank you very much, Prof. And maybe our youths have some questions which they would like to pose to you. I'll give our Chief Executive Officer elect, Mr. Samuel. Kindly, Samuel, say hi to Prof, and maybe you can take over from there. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Prof. It's an honor actually to have you in this meeting. So probably I might just pose one question, and this one is in regard to young young Africans, especially the young leaders also. This one context which probably, I don't, maybe
I think we lost you. You might just repeat the question.
mention. Sometimes you see the research which was done by, I think it was, sorry. So I'm asking a research which was done by, and actually the research they did that among us young people, I think 60% were willing to acquire, especially wealth or money, in whichever way, so long as they will not be caught up. They actually, the research delved on youth in East Africa.
I'm aware of that research about young people willing to participate in corruption.
In corruption, exactly. So what, because all of these guests we have here in this call today are actually aspiring young leaders, and all of them actually have organizations they're leading. So that's the criteria we used in actually selecting them in this call. So what would you tell? Because you see the percentage was quite higher.
Let me answer your question by giving reference to the people that you must emulate. The Baganda of Uganda have a saying that which ripens quickly rots quickly. And in Kiswahili, there is a saying, mali bila daftari huenda bila habari. What I would guide them is that they must know that everything that survives is that which you earn by the sweat of thy brow. By the sweat of thy brow, you shall earn. And it is about simply educating ourselves to recognize that doing the right thing at all times is the right thing. I want you to look at the lives of, because you want to be politicians, most of you, I don't know the problem with Kenyans, everybody wants to be a politician. But leadership must be seen broadly. They are leaders in the trade union, they are leaders in different sectors. But in the political arena, I want you to go and read the lives of Julius Kambarage Nyerere, Kenneth Kaunda, Thomas Isidore Sankara, Modibo Keita, Sam Nujoma, people who believe that leadership is about service. Nyerere used to ask the question, ukiona mtu ana tamaa sana ya kwenda ikulu, msimchague huyo. Kwani ikulu kuna biashara gani anataka kufanya huko? The true leaders are reluctant leaders who simply want to serve. But if you see somebody with great hunger to acquire office, those are not leaders. They just want to occupy office for personal. And you must make a personal decision that your desire is to serve. That is what I urge you.
Thank you, Prof. Maybe someone else can ask a question.
I'll take two more questions. I think technology is
yeah, Felix, yes, this. Yeah, Felix is raising his hand.
Yes.
Hello, asante sana, Bwana Professor. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir.
I once met you in Tangaza University College.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, when you a book, the Constitution interpretation book.
Yes.
So mine today is I am still a youth who cannot afford that book, and I really need to. Can you please donate me?
Where are you now?
Samburu.
Okay, I'll make arrangements to get you a book. But I'm sure you can do things in Samburu to make some money. But I'll make sure you get one. Lengerdeda knows how to get me.
Sorry? Hello?
Probably we have some other questions.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, I can hear you.
Everybody else. So thank you for beautiful.
Please repeat again. I didn't get your question.
I was just beginning my question, but I was first of all thanking Prof for finding time to give us an overview on accountability. And I know in through Samuel's questions, you have somehow warned the young generation about choosing where to provide our services or leadership. But still, I still have a question for, I know with your experience, and still we have probably youths who want to serve in the political arena. And still we have a bigger challenge in terms of the youth versus the older generation, whereby the older generations always have an upper hand in terms of, especially with regards to age. They tell the younger people, you are still young, your time is yet to come. So, and of course that mixed with money, that combined with the issue of money, it becomes very difficult for the youth. What advice would you give to the younger generation in regards to beating that challenge?
I think the young people are part of their own problem. But I must warn you by saying, number one, that youth is not a permanent state. It is a stage in your life. But if young people were to make a decision that they want to elect one of their own, why would they do it? Why do you allow yourselves to be bought by these fellows? If you have made yourself so weak that you can be bought with 200 shillings, you are the one to blame. You go across the border here in Tanzania and look at the people who are serving as cabinet ministers, young people. But you come to Kenya because your politics is ethnic. You are choosing, even in Kenya now, when politicians have problems, you see, they have gone to look for the elders. Not that looking for the elders is a bad thing, but you are going to your tribal elders. Until the day that Kenya herself from ethnic politics and the politics of money, the youth are not going anywhere. You'll always be riding border borders and shouting as the old men are doing the thing that you ought to be doing. But you go to Rwanda, young men and young women. Go to Tanzania, young men, young women. Go to Uganda, they are not doing as badly as Kenya is. You go to Ethiopia, young men. So Kenya has two problems. 3, ukabila, ushenzi wa ukabila. 2, corruption, hongo. 3, fikra finyu. Nyinyi vijana, mkijana akiletwa mnasema hachoti. So it doesn't matter. Look at the university election that we now have here. When we were university students, I was a university student leader. I spent not a single cent. Today, you hear a chairman of University of Nairobi have spent 40 million. Ametoa wapi?
Must have stolen somewhere.
Yeah. Lazima anatumiwa na mtu, lazima ni kibaraka. So you are part of your problem, and you who are in this space, and Langer Dead will tell you, and you all who are here in this particular forum, you are leaders in your own right. Suppose you made a conscious decision that you want to elect people of your age group. Why can't you do it? Look at our first parliament. The people are in their 20s and in their 30s. And people are being elected in places in urban areas. Chiengo Neko was a member of parliament in Nakuru. Tom Mboya in Nairobi. today, naweza kutoka huku niliko nije nisimame Samburu. Utauliza what is my clan? Si ndivyo? Naweza kutoka South Nyanza niende Siaya, mtauliza mimi ni Mjaluo lakini wa kutoka Migori. Tukiwa na ujinga huo, we are going nowhere. In Tanzania, mtu ambaye amezaliwa Mtwara anaenda kusimama Musoma na anachaguliwa. Mtu amezaliwa Mwanza anatoka Mwanza anaenda Moshi na anachaguliwa. Sio Ulaya, hapa majirani wetu Tanzania. Kwa hivyo ujinga wetu wa Kikenya pia inatisha. Nisiseme mengi kupita hapo.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. So I think this was someone has raised down for quite a very long time.
Let me take that as the last question.
Okay. Walter Adam Apia. I have unmuted you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Host. I am joining you from Ghana, Accra, Greater Accra to be precise. I follow the professor on all of the social media platforms. I'm very happy to actually have him to ask a question. He visited Ghana the other time, I couldn't. Sorry, I can't show my video because actually somewhere I can't display where I am.
The line is not very clear.
I'm very happy to actually. Okay, so my question is, we have followed and read what Mahatma Gandhi did in South Africa, where the European, according to him, would be first class citizen, the Indian will be second class citizen, and then the African, the third class citizen on their own land. I want to know why he has, the professor has Mahatma Gandhi's portraits behind him. And
let me,
reason for that. Thank you very much.
Let me ask you one question that whether you are Christian or not, let me ask you the question that Christ asked when people wanted to stone a prostitute. Who amongst you is without sin?
Okay.
Who amongst you in this forum has never committed a sin?
None of us.
Christian or not?
No one.
Well, yeah, I am not.
So if you answer that question, you know that when I'm looking at you, I look at your positive attributes, not your negative ones. You understand me? Who amongst you in this forum has never committed a sin?
I understand you, sir.
Now you can ask your question.
Okay, then you have answered my question then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let me allow you to continue with the conversation because I have another meeting.
Prof, kindly, can you?
But let me thank you for what you are doing, my good friends who are across Africa. You know that we are ourselves going to have a big meeting on the 27th. Let us not, this is just an introduction. We must work together and do things on the ground. I know what you are doing. I have talked to Justice Lenaola, who tells me the great things you are doing. The others, I know you are doing great things. Continue doing great things. And I want to complete my statement with a statement that I had from John Garang de Mabior when I was an intern with SPLM in the 1980s. He told me that when you are leaving, you continue to accumulate things. They are the good things and the bad things because all of us will make mistakes. But at the end of the day, we want your good things to bad things. Experience. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Prof. And we are actually very much happy of you. And we have learned a lot on social accountability. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
We look forward to further engagements.
Thank you.
And actually, I'm so much glad that youths have gotten a lot of information on social accountability, and we are so much happy. So
Thank you.
I also thank Amos. Amos has been a good friend of mine, and he has actually assisted me a lot. Thank you very much, Amos.
Thank you very much. Continue with the conversation.
Thank
God
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
God bless.
Okay, so guys, I'm so much happy for you, all of you who participated in this meeting, and maybe at your own pleasures you can leave the platform, and if